Here we go, we're on.
We're on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's January 23rd, 2019, and I'm here with Drea in Alexandria, Virginia, the East Coast branch of beadshop.com. Kate and the great team in California, they're out putting the office back together, which is absolutely necessary because we just moved. We're going to have room for classes. We're going to have a special Facebook studio and also YouTube. By the way, if you're watching today, we're only on Facebook. We couldn't be on YouTube because we don't have the camera equipment. However, after this is archived, we will be posting it on YouTube, so you can watch it later on YouTube. Today is a great project. It's near and dear to my heart. Some of you know what French wire is or French bullion, but it's that tiny, tiny little, kind of like what we call a slinky. We're gonna do some close-ups, but I can kind of show you. This is what we're working with today, this kind of spaghetti. But this is really a little tiny, tiny coil, and it's made up of very fine wire so that you can, sort of like a wire guardian, but more elegant, so that whether you're using it for your thread, to where the thread touches around the clasp, or you wanted to even use it with stringing wire like soft flex, it's there to protect your thread or your wire, and it gives you a really finished, elegant look. So today we're going to learn how to use it properly, and we're also going to go over bead reaming, because as much as I hate bead reaming, some of you out there will go, I don't want to use a bead with a bigger hole at the back of my necklace. I want to ream my beads or my pearls or my gems. And so we're also going to learn how to properly ream out beads, which I just said I really hate doing, and I'll avoid at all costs. So what else do we want to share? Drea's behind the camera, and she's also my memory. What else do we want to share at the beginning?
I think we'll just say some hellos. We have a lot of people on here joining us. Kate jumped on and said a hello to us, but that they're getting back to work.
You know, I don't have the live broadcast on the Facebook. On your iPad, so I can't really see anyone right now.
I will set that up once we get the camera in place. But we have a lot of hellos. Everyone's joining in.
I'm so excited.
Gita is on and Emily's on. No,
I
don't
have
be
to admit,
nervous.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not, the rock star that Kate is, who just goes on and says, "Hey, I'm just going to throw this together today." I plan. I plot along. But the materials that we're using are really, really fun, and I'm hoping that after today, no one will be afraid to use the needle and the cord, the silk cord, which is made by Griffin or Gudebrat. In the old days, it was Gudebrat. Now it's Griffin. And that you won't be afraid to use bullion wherever you can. It's just a fun material. So, I want to say that we will, as the staff has said, we will be up tomorrow, ready to start shipping orders. It's amazing what they've done. A big shout out to the whole team in California. Just amazing job, working like crazy. And then I also want everyone out there who's like mid-Atlantic, if you can save the date March 23rd, I'm going to have a little get-together at my casa, my East Coast casa, and I think we're going to practice how to make tassels, how to build a tassel. I think that's what, I'm working with Amy now on the subject matter, but March 23rd is a date, pencil it into your calendar. I'm also going to California, and I'll be live on Facebook March 13th, and at that time, I hope what we're going to do is the topic of needles and thread. We're just going to tear into it, understand all the different kinds of needles, all the different kinds of threads. So if there's stuff we don't get to right now, I'm going to cover it on the next Facebook Live when I'm in California. So why don't we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Move the
Okay.
Camera into place here.
And then you're going to make it so that I can...
I am.
Okay. Because I want to see how close I can get and see. You're going to do that for me. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to show everyone this is the Belvedere project. I called it Belvedere because Belvedere is the loveliest little seaside village on the bay in Marin County. And it's got lots of sailboats and beautiful starry nights. And I've always had fond memories of Belvedere and Tiburon. So I named this, this sample Belvedere. It's in our contemporary bead knotting section, which is one of Emily's projects. And we go through how to knot. She has wonderful, great ideas. So if you haven't seen the video on how to do the knotting via Emily style with either a tweezer or with an awl, I suggest you go and look at that. I'm going to show you my method today, and I don't really use anything but my fingers. So you'll be able to make your choice how you want to learn how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to just go through this project a little bit. I can now see where I am. I can take this out of the picture. We don't need, and it seems really like nice and close, easy to see. I like this. So I'm just going to move this down a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each of the materials. So you'll often hear me talking in the old days about the old days and the quality of the beads that we used to get at the bead shop and in other places. I'm going to show you a few of the things that use knotting and some beads. This is an old necklace I did many years ago, and then I just added this lovely green girl button, a little mermaid to it, and I tied it on really just by using a little tiny bit of leather. So let me undo it so you can see what I did here. But to just talk a little bit about the quality of the beads, if you are an old beader like I am, you will lament that beads like these beautiful citrine gemstones are not as available as they used to be. It's getting harder and harder to source quality gems. We're getting messages all the time from our suppliers in India. The rondelles are getting smaller. We're getting less choice. It's just there's only so much in the earth. And things like these really delicious Baroque pearls, these green pearls, some of these are getting harder and harder. These are little tiny garnets in here, which in an unusual color we don't always see. So my message to you is, if you are going and buying, gems now, or you have old gems, they're just becoming more and more limited with time, and we want to treasure them. So I'm going to put this, look at that lovely pink. Can you all see that? That really, I've got to put it in the screen. This beautiful big pink pearl. It's just, I'm going to look with my bead caliper. Let me go grab that a second. I'm just going to measure the size of this pearl.
So
this is...
Emily has asked if we can pull out a little bit.
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
Going to see. Bear with me here while
this
I
is like
this.
Almost a 10 millimeter round. It's just such a lovely bead. So Emily, you want us to come up a little bit?
Yeah. Let us know if that's
Is that better?
any better. Let's see.
Oh, that looks good. Is that better? Now you can see more of the necklace. let's see, okay, so that everyone likes that necklace. Great, I'll set that aside. I also want to show you another way of using, this is more like the contemporary knotting. Maybe it's too small a space to see the whole thing, but this is a necklace on the griffin. This is on a size, I believe, a 4. And I wear this necklace. You can see how loose these are already, and I've already knotted it once. And these pearls are about 15 years old. Wear it all the time. If I wanted to wash them, because I know we'll get a question about that today, I would just take a paper towel and wet it with a little warm water and then just run it along the pearls, but just very gently. I wouldn't even use any kind of detergent, or maybe you want to use Dove. If it's safe enough for birds, it's probably safe enough for your pearls. But I would just wipe off any kind of fragrance or creams with just a little soft, wet paper towel. Okay, so I'm going to take that aside. We're going to go back and look at Belvedere again, now that it's up a little bigger.
We have a question from Mary Ellen.
Sure.
Asking, is there ever any problem with the gemstones cutting the griffin, cutting the silk?
Yes and no. There are gemstones that are not properly drilled. And let me get a piece of paper and I'm going to draw. So there are machine drilled gems. Let's say this is a gem, and nowadays they're machine drilled so that you can, I'm going to come right into the middle here, you can get your thread all the way through the beads. In the old days, they were often hand drilled, and they would use a drill from this side, and then they would use a drill from this side. Does anyone know, like, have beads like this where even, who knows how they even strung them, where it's like this, and then the drill from the other side, it's like this, and so you kind of have to somehow find your way from here over to there? Raise your hand if you have hand drilled, like garnets or citrine, any of those. With these kinds of beads, the old gemstones, it's very possible that as you're trying to get your way through these hand-drilled beads, that your silk, any thread you use, can find itself getting jammed. Whenever your thread gets jammed, it has the opportunity to break. If you are making a necklace, and let's say you have a really nice, big pendant, or even a briolette or something, this little spot right here is where you have one of the 2 biggest opportunities for your thread to break, because it's actually, you don't think about it, but it has to sort of turn the corner. It has to come up, and where this is meeting this, the thread can just like really tear away. The other place that you have an opportunity is at the back. So at the back of the necklace, wherever your clasp is, this little spot here is the other place where more than likely your beads are going to come apart. I don't really normally speak of, different companies that sell beads, but I have to tell you all that in the old days when we had the shop, I must have gotten 2 or 3 Sundance catalog necklaces a month where the beads, and this is what we're going to learn to overcome today, where the bead, this bead, the thread would break right here, and people would come in with this necklace, expensive necklace, with an extra bead and this little bit of thread, and say to me, Janice, can't you just reattach that to that? Why do you have to re-knot the whole thing? because it's all perfectly good. Well, what happened with most of these designers, and bless them, they really made beautiful jewelry. I don't have the store now, so I can't say this is still going on. But what happened, and we're going to overcome this today, is that on almost all of this jewelry, if this is, let's say this is the clasp here and it's a toggle. In almost all of this jewelry, they went around with the thread, came down, and then they knotted under here, put a little drop of glue. And I bet some of you have even done that at home. Well, what happens is this comes undone, this wears out, and then this comes apart. What we're going to learn today, I'm just going to see I'm running out of paper very quickly. What we're going to learn today is that we do that. Here's the clasp. We're going to learn how to come up, go around this with a little bit of bullion. Then we're going to come down here. We're going to knot there. Then we're going to come down here. Then we're going to knot there. Then we're going to come down here, and then we're going to knot there. And then we're going to do our necklace. And then on the other side, we're going to, here we go again. We're going to come up through 1, 2, 3. Here's the toggle bar. We're going to go around, and then we're going to come out here and knot, go back down through. Well, let me go back down through, knot there, come back down here, and knot again. And so it's almost virtually impossible for, oh, sorry. Okay. It's almost virtually impossible for 3 knots to come out. And if you've got bullion here covering your thread, you're protecting your thread from the damage that the wear and tear of the clasp is doing. And so this little trick of 1, 2, 3 beads on either side is what's going to save everyone from having the sadness of, oh, can't you just reattach that 1 bead? So with that being said, I want to show the sample and how we did it, how I did it on the sample, so everyone sees. You don't have to see. And I'm going to use the awl so that I can point to it. Let me put this, make sure this is in. Is this nice? Is this in there nice and good now so everyone can see that?
I think that probably is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started on the circle side, although it doesn't really make any difference. But if you, I don't know if you need microscopic glasses. We will be posting in episode notes close-ups of this, but this right here is the bullion, this little tiny bit of slinky. I'm gonna take this out, I'm gonna show it to you, and then I'm gonna pull it apart. So I'm gonna cut a piece. I like to use these old school thread clippers because it's really, really important that you don't have any curlicues. You don't want to have anything on the ends of your bullion that you've cut. Because if you have it, then it can catch on your hair, it can catch on anything, and then it can come apart. So I'm going to just pull this apart. I don't know if I can, so that you can see it. Can you see it now? Do I have, maybe I need to hold it up a little bit?
You might need to. It's just...
Okay, okay. Let me get a piece of paper and let me hold it up really closer. This is the challenge of doing a technique like this. Can you see it now?
Yeah, move it a little
this way.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay, so that's the bullion pulled apart. Can you see that, everybody? Okay, great. So that's what you want to avoid. So that means that all the little ends of this have to be perfectly cut. So today we're not going to do the whole project with little gemstones. I'm going to use the medium-sized bullion, and I'm going to explain in a second the different size bullions. But what I did here is I I used a size 2 Griffin, and I used the labradorite 2 to 3 millimeter rondelles, and they have holes big enough. I'll show you, although I don't know if you can even really see them. These holes are big enough for the 2 millimeter Griffin to go up and back down through. So that's what we want to do. Is we're going to add 3 beads. We're going to go around the bullion. We're going to go back through the 3 beads one at a time, and then we're going to start stringing. You can't pre-string your whole necklace, so we do the 3 beads at once. So first, before we start doing that, I want to show you the different size bullion that we carry. I'm going to put this away. So bullion comes, we don't carry it in sterling silver or gold fill or gold. I do believe it's available, and I think, Emily, you might be able to tell us where to source it, maybe at Rio Grande. I rarely ever see fine metal bullion. Emily might be able to give us a lesson sometime in how to make your own, but this is the fine, which is, let me hold this up. The fine is the 0.7 millimeters. The medium is 0.9. Then there is a thick, which is, let me get the thick out. We don't carry the thick or the extra thick at this point. The reason that we don't is because it's a personal thing of mine. Where's the, I guess I can show it to you. Here it is. I don't carry it because we don't carry it, and we will if more people want us to have it. But I find that the heavy and the extra heavy, if you're going to use heavy beads with bullion, it's not going to, it's too fragile. It's just too, I'm taking this apart. It's too fragile to hold up really heavy beads. And so what is the point then? Why won't this open? What is the point of having it if you're using heavy beads? So this is the heavy, which is 1 millimeter, and I think it's so close to the medium, and the medium also fits the size 6 Gouda broad. So we haven't carried that, and then we haven't carried yet the extra heavy, which is 1.8 millimeters. And I'm gonna just see if I can't get this out a little faster. It's like, I'm sure right now you're watching snow melt. So this is, look at that. This is the extra heavy. And, you know, I can see how you might be really captured to want to carry the extra heavy, but then I worry you're going to use it with big beads, with heavy thread, and it's going to fail on you because this just can't take weight. So right now we're sticking with the fine and the medium. I do want to show you what we're going to be carrying because I'm very excited about this. I worked with the beadsmith. You have no idea how many years I've asked them for bullion in flavors that I would like to use. Like, not every clasp I have is bright gold or bright silver. And so finally, Avi and the team said, okay, enough with you complaining to us, Janice. Let's get you some samples. What do you think? And I said, very nice. Now, I wish the copper was an antique copper. I'm not really crazy about the bright, but I figure it's better than nothing. Then they have now an antique brass or bronze, which they're calling vintage bronze, I guess, because it matches many of the vintage components. And then this one, which they're calling gray. We're we're going to have all of these posted in the next few weeks. We just waiting for the office to come back into full swing. They're waiting to be posted. We're going to do a little raffle today with 3 of our viewers today who make a purchase are going to get a sampler of the Bullion in these new flavors. So we'll pick three raffle winners. Okay, so so that's a little bit about the Bullion, the fine, the medium. Are there any questions about this so far, Drea?
Not any questions. People are really liking the colors.
Oh, yeah.
Different colors.
You know, isn't color everything? I just think color is everything. Okay, so let's start with first things first. I'm going to get this out of here. Wait, this is the medium. I'm going to get the silver out of here. I'm going to put that over there. I'm going to put my Martha Stewart bowl of water right here. And maybe we want to, I don't know, if this is too close for everybody, it looks good, but is it, okay, we'll just say it's not too close. So what we're going to learn first to do is we're going to learn to ream the beads. And what you want to do, and I usually recommend that you have extra griffin, you know, like it's what I call my practice griffin. And I have one in a 6, I have one in a 2, and I have one in a 4. And these are, do these show up?
It's not on yet.
Okay. So these are my practice griffins. And what I will do is I will take my beads and I will first find out, because I want to be able to go up and back down, I will first see what works and then make a decision, do I need to ream or not? So I'm going to take, because I did this with the 2s, the size 2 and the labradorite, I'm going to take my 2 and not every single one of these gems will go up and back down. So that's another thing you have to do. You have to test each one. So I'm going to take this card. I'm going to take the griffin off the card. I'll tell you a little bit about the griffin. It's got a needle. Each one of these has a needle attached so that it's like it's extruded out of this twisted silk cord. Move this out of the way. It's a little bit longer than this. What happens with me is sometimes I wear these needles out, and especially for the beads that are going up and back down through, I need to have it as straight as possible. So sometimes when I get to near the end of my griffin, you'll notice my needle gets shorter and shorter. So I keep a practice thing of griffin because I don't want to use the griffin I'm going to use for the project to test the beads. So I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to, I hope I can see this. Yes. So I can feel already this went on like really easily. It glided up and back really easily. So I'm going to try it again, going back through it, and bear with me because I have to bring it up to me so I can see it. So I will take this and then I test it. And I want to pick 6 beads that will go on easily. If you want to cheat and go, oh, well, I kind of feel like I can go up and back if I push it a little hard. Trust me, when you are finishing up your necklace and you've gone up on the other side with the 3 beads and you want to go back through, if this doesn't glide smoothly, you're going to have trouble going back through. So you might have to ream the bead a little bit. But you have usually a lot to choose from your whole tray. And then what you want to do is you want to set aside 6 beads that are reamed, so that you don't, you'll put them in a little dish like this, or however you want, but you'll know that those are your reamed ones. So today, I'm not going to work with the little gemstones. I'm going to work with our 7 to 9 millimeter pearls, just because it's easier for me to see, to work with, and it's easier for you to see. So I have already reamed these beads, so we don't have to sit here and watch me ream 6 beads. But I do want to show you how I ream a bead. So I'm going to put these aside for a second.
Ginger says she's chicken to use griffin cord, but she did buy some. She just has to do it. So I say, don't be chicken.
Yeah, don't be chicken, Ginger. You know, Ginger showed me a project that she was working on, homecoming, and she was fearless. And we texted, and she said, "How does this look?" So, Ginger, don't be scared about this. Okay, so I am going to take my tester. This is my tester griffin. I'm actually going to do the project on black. The 4 millimeter I want to test. I like the knot, and then I like also, does it fit, for going up and back. So I'm going to put a pearl on, and this is sort of a wonky, it's a little wonky. Let me try another one. So that went on pretty nicely. I'm going to go back through and I'm going to check. No, see, I just can't get that needle back through. Now let me show you a pearl that I have reamed. So can you see that hole size there? No? Yes? Can you see that, Tria? I think so.
You might be.
Well, it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger. I'm putting this pearl on. See how like it just moves back and forth? That's really how you want it. And then but I always test. Do not assume. And then when you put the needle back through, as Emily would say, you don't want to shove the needle that way because you'll break the fibers. What you want to do is you want to skim your bead in the direction of your needle so that you're not pushing the tip of that wire needle against your pearl and your thread. So now it's in there, and I'm going to just bring this down a little bit and then pull this along, and I'm going to try it. And hopefully, there you go. See, that's big enough. I've reamed it so that it's big enough so it goes on twice. I've checked all these beads. I did this yesterday, and when it was 15 degrees here, I sat here and I reamed beads. How long does it take me to ream a bead? Depends on the bead, but I would say you've got to give yourself 10 to 15 minutes per bead. Okay, so I have my trusty bead reamer here. This is the one this is the old one. We carry, I'll show you a picture of the one that we carry now. Now, granted, if you go to the website now, you'll see a picture of this one. That's what's on the website. Let me move all this stuff out of the way so that it looks a little more like a Martha Stewart and less like a Julia Childs. Okay, let me move this out of the way. That looks better. Okay. So, I don't know if you can all see this. I'm going to show you. This is the one that we are carrying now. Same tips, everything is the same. It's the handle and case that's a little different. So if you go to the website and you want to purchase this, until Karen has a chance to rephotograph it once she's set up her camera and everything. This is the one that you see. There are pros and cons to each. It's just this one is getting harder to get. So we've decided instead of going for harder, let's go for easy. But it virtually works the same way. You also get 3 tips with it. And for anyone who has, if you have beads that have sharp edges, the whole point of this one, you may not use, and this one hardly has any use, but if you have beads that have sharp edges, you know, metal beads, for instance, like African beads, and you don't want them fraying your thread, you can use this one to soften and smooth down the edges of your beads. These 2 are for reaming holes into beads. And this one is very fine. This is the one that I used. It's the medium-sized one. I just didn't want to spend a lot of time reaming, so I just used the medium-sized one. The secret to reaming is these are diamond. All that is like little diamond sparkle. It's really diamonds. And you have to do it with water, because if you don't, you will break this tip, and more than likely the tip will end up inside your bead. So the question I often get, and Emily, you might have some answers for this, is I don't normally ream glass. I would not think that glass would work. You can ream gems, you can ream pearls, you could ream amber.
She actually commented a minute ago saying the wide bit will fix even glass beads with pore holes.
But that's true, smoothing out the glass on the edges. But would you ream a glass bead? I wouldn't. I don't know. I guess you would. I don't know why you couldn't. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned. But I have right here my little water. I'm going to set these other reamers back into the back, and I want to put them tips first. And I'm going to put this right on the end.
Lynn says she tried it on glass once and it broke the bead.
Yeah. Lynn, did you use it with water?
And Emily has just commented, you can ream anything, but I put the bit in my Dremel.
Oh, yes. I don't know if any of you have noticed that I had an accident on my hand, and I don't get a discount when I get manicures. But maybe that's why I don't like to ream. I'm like a little nervous of like damaging my fingers or getting a diamond tip through my hand. So I'm extra careful, and I like to go slow but steady. So I once had an electric reamer, and I used it for about 3 seconds, and then I said, "What are you doing, Janice? This is not for you." Okay, so I'm going to wet my pearl, and I'm wetting it right on the tip, the diamond tip. So the whole thing, I'm getting water in both ends. And then what I do, let me put all these beads over to the side. Then what I do is, I'll put this a little here so I'm not so close. And then all I do is I usually always start with my dominant hand doing the reamer, and I will ream slow and steady. Is it in the picture? Am I? Now I am. Okay. Slow and steady wins the race here. Then I dip again. Then I go back. Now, one time there was in the store, I had a customer who came in because we made videos at the time. And a customer came in and said, "Oh, I want to," and I did a video on pearl knotting. She said, "Oh, I want to meet the lady who has the funny hand in the video." And I said, "Well, that's me. come on down. So all I'm doing is I'm going back and forth. When I get tired, I can change hands, but I find that I have more control. See, so I'm going, this is going to make everybody dizzy. So you do this, then you take it, and I'm going to dip it again, and then I change and I go to the other side. But you have to keep it wet all the time when you're doing this. This is, if I can do it, everybody, you can do it. So like I said, it takes about 10, maybe 15 minutes. Another little trick that I have for doing this, because I will get super bored doing this, is I like to have like a little checkpoint. So I'll go like this, and I go, okay, that's how big the bead is. And I'll take this off, and I'll see how far I've gone in by where the tip is. So I can see I'm not at the halfway point. When you go back and forth and back and forth, when you finally reach the other side, there's sort of a rush, not a rush of air, but there's a lightness to the reaming, a lightness of this, and it feels, oh, okay, I'm on the other side. Once you've done that and you feel like you've gone all the way through and there's not as much tension, then what you want to do is you want to get out your practice griffin. You want to go back and forth, make sure you don't have any resistance, and your bead is reamed. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor the reaming because it's really boring. Pay attention though when you do it. Don't, try like disciplining the kids while you're reaming. Okay, so here are my 6 reamed beads. Here's my medium bullion. Here are my other beads, my other pearls. I'm not sure how much we will get done today, but we'll just start. I always get asked, how much bullion do you need? And the answer is you need less than you think. In the package, you get anywhere from 14 to 16 inches of bullion. And it doesn't hurt to have a little guide of how much you need. And so that if you're going to be cutting more than one piece, you have multiple pieces that you, so I like maybe a little guide so that when I get to the other side, I'm doing the same size and one side isn't really long and then the other side is really short. Or you can, another thing you can do, which is like for those who have higher IQs than I do, you could cut a couple pieces at a time. But what I want to do before I cut it is I want to make sure that the one piece that I cut is the right size. So where's my little pencil? Do I have that here? This pen is so dark. No? Okay. So I'm just going to, this is almost, Drea, there's a pencil on my studio desk. So I'm going to, oh, this wasn't even in the picture. Okay, so I'm going to just, this is the one I want. I think, let's see if that one's too small. Would you soak pearls first? You mean before you ream them? You could, but you want to soak them, you want to keep the diamond tip wet while you're doing it. So soaking, I don't know, maybe soaking would help. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm going to use the black Griffin size 4, and I have so much stuff here. Let me move this out of the way. I don't need the water anymore. Don't need this anymore. Have that. And this is one of the 2 little pieces. let's see which works. I'm going to string on 3 pearls. And another trick is always go to the end of your griffin thread. And what I mean by that is the needle is on one end. You only get that needle, but the griffin is 2 yards long. If you only go, oh, I'll go 1 yard down, that's all I need, then you cut your project off. You can't use the rest of your thread because it won't have the needle attached. So always come down to the end of your project. So I'm going to string on the 3 pearls, and they feel really, they're just like, look at that, nice. And I'm going to bring it all the way down. And I'll leave about that much on the end. And then I'm going to take, of course now my little piece of bullion is missing. So I'm going to take this one, but I'm going to cut a little bit off it. A little bit more. A lot of this depends on the size of your ring, of your loop. You have to be able to fit it all the way around. But you don't want it to be like really long. I like it to look round, not U-shaped. So I'm going to move this out of the way. We don't need that now. You want to take care in storing your bullion in either a baggie or in the little, styrofoam thing it comes in. So I'm going to bring this all the way down. And it's possible, if you don't have another, an extra card of thread, save the one that you use for this project for your next one, so that you'll have one for practice, because you always want to be able to practice the size knot. That's another thing that I did not do, but I always do, is I take one of my beads and I put it on the practice size, and I do a knot top and bottom just to make sure that it's going to be the right size, everything is going to work before I start reaming. So I'm going to come through, and before I do this, I'm just going to come and I'm going to put in the end here, I'm going to put a safety knot in, because I don't want these pearls to come off. So I'm going to go through it once, and I'm going to go through it again, and then now I have just this knot, so nothing, I can't lose anything. Okay, so now I'm going to go, I've strung on my clasp. I'm going to come back through the first pearl, and when you do this, you just want to kind of keep your thread. Let me move my hand on this side. You just want to keep your thread from curling as you do this. You don't want it all twisted. So let me just pull this in. I hope you can all, I'm holding my hand over the pearl, I'm sorry. Now it's getting caught on the reamer, on the side, and the scissors, and okay, but as we bring this in, you'll see, I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. Where is this? Let's make sure it's not going to get knotted around this. Bring this down a little bit, and then I'm going to pull this all in. I hope you can see this. Can you see that? You want it even on either side, and you want this to be able to move. You don't want it so tight that this won't move. And that's just about the right size. Could maybe be a little bit bigger, but not much. So you wanted a circle, you don't want it looking like a U-turn. You don't want it long and skinny. That's a signal that it's been done by a beginner. Sorry, guys. Okay, so now I'm going to do the over the river and through the woods knot, which is what you're paying me the big bucks for. So I'm going to go, this is over the river, so this is the river. I've made a loop. I'm going, and it's sort of like macrame in a way. And I'm going to take, so it looks like a Q. I'm going to come up through the loop. So I've come around, I've got this sitting on top, then I'm going to dive under the river, and this is the woods. And I'm going to go through the woods, and I'm just going to hold these two pearls down. There's no other way of doing this but holding them down, in my opinion. And then I'm just going to pull this up. And what do you think we have? We have a knot, right? Now that's where most of the jewelry artists we were talking about stop. They do the one knot and then they just start doing the necklace. But that's not enough. So now we're going to go back. We're going to go through this one.
Helen likes the soothing water sound in the background.
Oh, that's the kitty fountain, everybody. Yeah, I've got two kitties who I am so surprised that they are not all over the screen. Two fat kitties. Well, one fat, one skinny. Okay, am I in the picture? No, I'm there.
What size is the griffin that you're using?
The griffin here is the 4, and it works great with the medium weight bullion. The griffin 6 will also work with the medium bullion. So you want to just make sure when you're doing this that you're not letting all your thread twist. See how nice and flat it is? And then you can slide that pearl up. Now I know it's very tempting to say, couldn't I just knot the whole necklace this way? Well, I guess you could if you had beads with big holes. You could, it's just not, but you could. You could just thread your beads and then string back through and do this knot if you really wanted to. You could do this knot. So, okay, here I am again. I'm doing over the river, and now what do I do? Through the woods. So I'm just going to, I want to just make sure this is above the pearl. Am I in the picture, Drea?
You are a little bit out right now.
Okay, so
move more that way.
Move more this way. Okay, right? Am I in now?
I think you are now.
Is that good? Because I'm, okay, I think this is better over here. Okay, so I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to take this long 2 meter, like I should have cut it, but I never want to waste this. And I'm going to hold my fingers on those pearls. And I'm pulling it up against that pearl. And then I have another knot. Now I'm going to go through this last one. And put just a drop of glue. I'll show you where I want to do the drop of glue. Kate, I'm sorry I don't have a plastic bag, but I like doing the glue right here. A little bit of glue right there. And I'll put that back in later. That's okay. I'm probably going to use it again in a second. And now I'll pull this right up. Just want to get rid of any, like, I don't want any extra glue. Then I'll just push that right there. And did you notice, I don't know if you noticed, but the knot got a little bigger because when I put the two threads next to each other, there it was a little thicker. So this is a nice size knot. Now I'm going to do one more, and then off we go. We're going to do a little knotting until we get to the other side. So I'm going to hold, I don't have another pearl to hold down, so I'm just going to hold the end down. And then I'm going to just put a tiny, teeny little bit right here. Oop. Right on. I know, who wants to see this thing while you're taking pictures, Drea? Okay. And then you can just let that dry. You don't have to worry about it. And then now I'm going to string some pearls, and we're going to, don't use the pearls that have the big holes because then you're back reaming again. So I'm going to get up close, and are there any questions? Because this must be totally boring to watch. Are there any questions, Drea?
That I have seen. Check on the laptop.
That one went on a little hard. What's going on? And you know, I bet even the griffin could be different from one batch of manufacturing to another. Now that had a big hole. The other one had a little hole. So that's why it's always important to check. Questions?
I think we were out of frame when you were gluing, so can you
show
the spots that you glued?
Yes.
Just maybe use the awl and point out where
yes. Okay. So let me make sure I'm in frame. So I'm in frame now. Okay, so before I put this bead all the way up, it was down here a little bit. I put a little bit of glue right on the thread and then push this pearl up. And then when I was done with this knot, I put a little bit of glue right on that knot. Boy, I would be fired if I was doing Free Tip Friday. Boy, Kate, I don't know how she does this. This is just, I guess maybe with practice, I would get better. Okay.
You are just fine.
Well.
Just fine.
Okay, so now this doesn't matter anymore. Okay, this end, we don't have to worry about that end. I'm going to cut that later. That's going to go up there. And then now we're going to knot. If you were doing, you could pre-string your beads, but if you, let's say we're doing like Emily or Kate's method, you make a loop. It's a little hard if you pre-string, I think, to do this. So you make a loop, you go through the loop. I want to show you my method. So Drea, I think we're going to have to pull the camera back a little bit in a minute, because I don't. Yeah, let's pull the camera back because I don't really. I have my method, and I want to show everyone my method. So I think it's I think it's a great method, but it's. maybe a little higher up.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's better. Now I just want to make sure I'm in the frame. Okay.
Let me straighten this out.
So I'm going to do it a little bit and then I will explain to you what I'm doing. I'm just going to cut this off because it's bugging me. And now we have just this little tail. Okay. So this is the way I knot. This isn't really a show on knotting. This is really a show on bullion. But I know everyone wants, oh, Ashley's watching. Hi, Ashley. Love you. Last night, Eli lost his first tooth and the tooth fairy came. Isn't that exciting? He just turned 6. Ashley's my lovely daughter. Thank you for picking Eli up today so Drea could help me. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I knot. And then I'll try to break it down for you. So I'm going to pinch. I'm going to push it through. I have like a little knot there. And now I'm going to pinch it. Till it gets small enough, and then I'm going to pull it in. And that's how I do the knot. Now to get the knot even closer, I take my next pearl or my next gemstone and I push it down up against it. Okay, so let me show you again. I'm going to just, all I'm doing basically is I am making a loop. So if you look at it, this is really basically the loop that Emily and Kate make. They make an overhand loop and then they will bring it up like this. I'm never as good as they are with this. But here I'm going right up against it. It's just an overhand knot. This is where I lose it because I never get it close enough. So I'm going to take this out. This is why I don't show you how to knot with an awl, because I just, okay, so let me show you again. I'm pinching right below the bead, and this is on my pearl knotting handout, the skill builder. If you go to class handouts on the project page and then scroll down a little bit to skill builders, go into skill builders and you see class handouts, you will see how to pearl knot. There's also one on gem knotting. So what I'm doing basically is I'm making a loop, I'm pushing it through, so there's the knot. And it's always harder to do this on Griffin than it is with 2 threads. Because if you have 2 threads, so all I'm doing is I am literally keeping it untwisted as much as I can, and then I'm pinching it. If you were using 2 threads, like Ceylon or even silk with 2 threads, what we could do now is we could separate those 2 threads and tighten that knot down. But because this is a single twisted thread, you can't. You have to rely on this getting right up where you want it. So then I'm going to just push this down with my next pearl, and then I'm going to repeat it again. If you were to go, let's say, to Chinatown, this is the method that is often used when you see the pearls flicking through their hands like so quickly. This is the method that I learned. It's a little harder, I have to say. Let me open this one up again. It's a little harder to do this method with the Griffin than it is with like real silk or real Ceylon, because the single twisted ply tends to want to get twisted. So I'm just going to keep my finger in there until I pinch it as close as I can. And then I'll take my next bead and bring it down. These are pretty tight. They're tight enough for most, you know, projects.
Ellen asks, are you kind of pulling the thread with your fingers as you pull and pinch?
Yes, this hand, my dominant hand is actually, I have tension right here. And they're also on an equal plane. So this hand isn't up and this hand's down. They're absolutely parallel, so that my knot is sitting right on top there. So I will then, I'm holding the thread with these fingers and I'm pinching and pulling, pinching. And when I'm not showing how to do it, I probably do it just a lot faster than this. So I want to make sure that I'm really got that knot right on top. And these fingers here are pulling it in. And now I'm out of pearls. I've got to add some more pearls. This one is not really, it's not super tight. I will just pull it down a little bit. And let me add a few more pearls.
Ginger asks, why is the twisting an issue?
Because what happens, Ginger, is if you don't stop the twisting from happening, the actual knot gets very bulky. So why? These pearls are old pearls. These are not just out of the pearl farms now. These are part of our vintage finds, and they may have some challenging, at least challenging with, I'm going to cut this little end off. Wrong thing to cut with. Could you hand me those wire cutters? I want to get rid of this little bit here.
Emily says she pre-strings all her beads so it goes faster.
Yes, you can. And I would have normally pre-strung, but I was busy. Okay, so we're not going to go the whole length of a strand because I want to show you how you end it. So is this? I have to put a few more on so that it's long enough for us to close. We'll close here. So let me just. I'm just going to pinch. Push through. Now, if you're using regular thread and you're using bullion, you're going to want a needle that does not affect, see how this has gotten twisted? You want to use a needle that will not bulge out your bullion. So what I do, I like the flexible eye needle. Drea, would you grab those out of that tray? There's some flexible eye needles in there. They're fine enough, they're on the chair, I think. They're fine enough that they'll go through the bullion. They're not going to damage the bullion. But the first time you use it, if you use the flexible eye needle, the eye is fairly large. And if you were to string on a piece of bullion, here. So So this is the, I don't know, I hope you can see it. This is the flexible eye needle. I do not recommend the collapsible, which is the heavier end, but what you can do with this is you can string on your thread, any kind of thread, and then take a fine gemstone, like, would you hand me one of the, like the Griffin, the Ceylon Micro? I want to show everyone how we do this. It's the one of those, the seashell. It's this one. Okay, so you're going to use like a regular thread, and you're doing your gemstone knotting. Let me take this off. So my little trick for making sure that my bullion isn't damaged is I have a gemstone I like to use, but what you can use is just any bead that has a fine hole, and then you flatten the needle before you put your bullion on. And then you don't have to worry about the needle here damaging that little bit of bullion. Okay, that's a little trick. Okay, so I'm going to, am I in the frame? I think I'm in the frame.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to just quickly put the knots in here on these last 3 beads. Thank you everyone for hanging in there with me today. I was a little nervous.
No need to be.
I know, but I'm not.
Everyone was saying that you're Janice.
I'm not Kate.
No, you're Janice.
I know. Well, I know like lots of old dog tricks. That's my specialty, is the old dog tricks. Okay, that one could maybe be a little closer, but I'm not going to sweat it. Okay, see, and by pulling the pearl down, that tightened it. So when you want to start the end, you put on 1 pearl, no knot after it. Don't put a knot there. And then string on your 3 beads that you have definitely checked that the holes are big enough. You're not going to, this especially on this side, because there's no wiggle room here. You have to do it right or you're hosed. So now I'm going to cut another little piece of bullion. That end seems like a little wonky. I'll cut that off. If I had the guide, I would use the guide, but I know it's about that big. Emily would probably here say, take all of these little bits and save them. Don't throw any of your little bullion bits out. She's right. So I'm bringing this piece of bullion all the way down to the end. Now what we have to do here is we have to put the clasp on, then we have to go back through each one of these. And we have to go back through them without any play. We have no play this time. There's no forgiveness. So I'm going to put on this other side of the toggle. If you are using a clasp that's like a lobster claw or something, always check that your clasp works properly, because there's nothing worse than doing this and then you find you've added a clasp where the toggle part is broken or it's stuck or something. Okay, so now what we've got is we've got the little piece of bullion. Am I in frame? Because I can't redo this again.
Nope, you're in.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do, the first one, I don't have to be right up close. I'm going to come back through. And then I'm going to bring all my thread through. That fountain is nice, isn't it?
It's so soothing.
It is.
It's like a spa. Oh, Emily has a good comment. I like to put a bit of bullion under a pendant on silk. It keeps the silk clean and protects it.
That's true. Okay, so now I have my bullion there. I have my clasp here. But what I want, see, because I'm going to pull this in, right? I actually want the bullion on the other side. I don't want it on the side that's going to get tight. I want the bullion on the side that has to slide in. So I'm going to bring it right here. And then now I'm going to pull it in. Let me see if I can show you this. Oh, I have to actually pick this up and do it. I think I've damaged it, but I am not going to redo it. I'm going to forge on, but I'm going to bring it back to the side that I am. Let me pull it down a little bit. Let me get it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. And it could also have been just a, see, it's like just a little, I would recommend you use a slightly bigger piece, just a little more, but it still wiggles freely. Okay, so now we're going to do, we have to do a knot there, a knot there, a knot there, and then bring the, no, a knot there, a knot there, and a knot there. We're not going to bring it back through that one because that one, the hole isn't big enough. Okay, so here's, let me move this out of the way. So we've got over the river, where's my needle? Under and through the woods. That's the problem. You can catch your thread on everything. And, you know,
I have a crowded table.
I have a crowded table, I do. So I want to make sure this is going to go right in here. And knotting tweezers may help here, just to push it down nice and tight. Okay, that's in nice and tight now. Now I'm going to take the needle again and go through the next one. And you have to be able to kind of see it when it comes through this side. You have to bend your beads a little bit. Now I'm going to also just pinch this a little tighter. And now I'm going to pull this through. You want to make sure it's not twisting as you bring it in. I know this looks sort of like watching grass grow, but there is a method to this. And you could use your awl, or you could use your knotting tweezers to make sure it doesn't curl and get too thick. Because ginger, it'll look too bulky. Okay, now I'm going to do that knot again. Over the river and through the woods. And as I get closer to getting it in, I will position it where I want it. Just pulling it down towards the bead you just went through is also helpful. Now I have this last one, and you see why it's so important. Am I in frame? Is anyone?
You are.
I am, okay. Why it's so important that you can get back through each bead so that you're not going, oh, I got through the first two, but now I can't get through this last one. And then I'll just put this in here to kind of keep it from twisting. Okay, now we can do the last one. And there are a couple of ways you can do the last one. You can do this, which we've just done, which is perfectly fine, and finish it up like this. And do that knot and then cut it. Or you can do another method, which I'll show you, which is you cut this off. I'm going to cut it off about here. And I want to show you this knot, and then I'm going to say a little bit something about an end tip, because anyone who's used an end tip and tried to get the knot in on the second side is going to find this suddenly so freeing. Okay, so I'm untwisting this, getting all the twist out. Get all that twist out.
Lorraine asks, do you add glue also?
I will, yeah. Now, going back through this last bead, we could have added a little bit of glue on the thread that went in here. That's a very good point, Lorraine. I'm going to definitely add glue right here. So now I have these two separate threads. And what I want to show you before I do this, and I'm going to just draw it on, I'll draw it on the back of this. So, have most of you out there used end tips? Those are the little guys that go, I have them. So this is, you can use this kind of an end tip, which is the clamshell, or you can use the traditional. But on either one, when you start your project, this is where the knot lives, right in here. Then you go around to the other side. Maybe this will sort of light up for some people. You go around to the other side, and invariably, almost everyone who teaches knotting will say, okay, you have to do an overhand knot and somehow get that knot to sit in there. Has anyone had this problem? Anyone out there? Yes, Kimberly, you've had this problem? Okay, so if you can do what I did, which is if you're using double thread, it would mean cut off the needle and separate your threads. Or if you're using the griffin, you untwist it like I did now. But you can do one knot right in here that'll fit right in there, and it's not loose or anything, by separating your threads and tying a square knot. Now you can't just do a single square knot. You probably have to go through the same knot 3 times. So you'd go, and I don't want, let me take, I know this is really random, I'm sorry, but this is such an important little trick I want to show you. So let's say you have your end tip. So what you would do is you would, and the end tip is down here, you would go through the same knot 1, 2, 3 times, and then you pull it tight. And then with the left one, you go like twice, once and twice, and then set that right on top of it. I mean, it will go in right on, it shouldn't go over there. It'll go on top of it. But that way, and then use your glue, but that way you're able to get that end tip right into that little spot. So now what I'm going to do here is I've separated the threads, and the only reason this is sort of nice doing it here, I'll show you, if you do the over the river and through the woods when you finish, you kind of get this little thing off to the side like this. And if you do it this way, you get more of a square knot that you can then cut the ends off. So I'm going to just go once, twice. That's a little hard maybe to see. 3 times. Then I flip it over, and then I do once. My skin is so dry, it's sticking on the, and then I pull that in. And that I will put glue on, let dry, and then come back with very fine flush cutters and cut this away. And that's how you use bullion, and end with 3. So this is, we would take the flush cutters on this side and cut this off. You can come in close. And then when this dries, you can come in and cut this here the same. Cut, I'm gonna just cut now because I'm living dangerously. But you'd want this to dry, and then you could come in and cut this really close later. And that looks terrible right now, but it'll look better later. That is how you do the knots with bullion at the end of a necklace. That's it. What do you think?
It looks good.
Okay. What other?
Little bitty bracelet.
Why not a thread burner? You could use a thread burner. I'm just a little nervous you're going to burn the knot right next to it. That's my only concern. I don't know. What do you think, Emily? Would you use a thread burner on this? What do you think? Any thread where you can separate the plies. What else? Okay, I think we're ready, Drea, to pull back and end the show. Okay. I think we're within the time frame.
Cindy says, I don't think you should use a thread burner on silk.
Yeah, the Griffin also comes in polyester. Okay, so.
Here, I don't think it would burn well, so.
Okay.
The comments we're getting there.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to move the camera.
Can you do that?
Yep.
I don't know that I can, but I bet you could.
I got it.
You know, I have to thank everyone for sitting through this today. I really, I don't even know. I don't think I'm going to go back and look at it because
You're the only one who thinks this.
Really?
Everyone else has given lots of love.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, let's get the hot light.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Sticking at your head there.
There we go. So, yeah, I feel like, I hope everybody learned something from this today. I know I rushed through the knotting part, but I'll show that again more on another episode. So, and in March, we're going to do, really, I want to dive into thread and needles. That's March 13th when I'm in California. I want to really talk about different threads, different needles, because Drea, you say we need a primer on needles.
We do. We get a lot of questions.
We do. We get a lot of questions. So let's see. Donna and Ellen and Mimi and Tanya, you enjoyed this. Lisbeth, you also enjoyed it. Oh, that's great. Melanie, thank you so much. Hi, Janice Cook. And Tania, thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Can I do some knotting techniques at the beginning? Yes, I think knotting is like my spirit animal, so we'll probably show some knotting too. Katie, thank you. I'm not going to forget the giveaway. Okay, so let me get my little papers over here. And we have, first, this is what we do first, right? We do the coupon. Yep. So today's coupon is JP Live 20. And if you use this in the next hour-ish, hour and a half, and put it in the coupon code JP Live 20, you can take 20% off all of the beads and products on the website. So that's Live 20, JP Live 20.
Well, that code will be good all day. That code goes until midnight tonight.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, it's this one.
But the giveaway.
This is the giveaway that's good for the next hour.
Yeah.
And this is, if you put in your shipping notes, there's a little place when you place an order that you can say, "Hi, JP." You know, well, the cats haven't come over. That's funny. That's very odd. If you put in French wire in your shipping notes, we're going to pick randomly 3 winners who are going to get one of each of the new flavors in both the fine and the medium. So you'll get a total of 6 little packets of Bullion. They look like this, and they'll be the vintage bronze, the gray, and the copper in fine and medium. And then we will be posting those you know, in a couple of weeks. We're almost ready. We just have to get the office. So that's French wire, if you put that into your order notes. Is there anything, I'm looking at what everyone wrote. Is there anything you think I forgot?
I don't think so. We didn't really talk about the ingredients in the sample for Belvedere. We didn't really go over the briolettes. I don't know if you want to show what you have right there real quick before we go.
Okay, so I used the green amethyst, I used the moonstone, and I used this iolite, which is really looks, if anyone knows tanzanite at all, they are really looking, they're maybe a little less purple than they're showing up on the website, but they're the most exquisite lavender blue. And I used 2 strands. I used the moonstone, and the rainbow moonstone, and the labradorite rondelles with the size 2 griffin. And it gives a very nice delicate knot. And all of this is on our website under projects. And the episode notes, thanks to Drea, will be posted next week with lots of pictures on the bullion and close-ups of the necklace. So I think that's it.
Mimi is asking, what is the end dangle piece on the other pearl necklace you showed in the beginning?
Oh, that is just like a little doohickster.
She said the gem in the bezel. I can take photos and put them in episode notes.
Now. It was just where are those necklaces?
I think they're under those papers.
Because it's just a small, it's like a charm that I found, and I wear it with the clasp in between 2 of the beads so that it hangs down. We'll put it in episode notes.
I'll get a photo and we'll
it's just something I found at a gem show once, like everybody else. We find things at gem shows. So thanks, Emily, for moderating. I didn't see Geeta. Was Geeta on today?
Yep, she was.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I love you all. We'll be open tomorrow, shipping. We're excited. Have a great rest of January and stay warm and be well. Love you all. Bye-bye.